Hello and welcome to CIO News. I'm Afreen Khan, your host for the broadcast and head of operations at CIO News. This is our exclusive fireside chat powered by GoTo, specifically for the healthcare industry. This is a recorded session and will be available on our website cionews.co.in and our CIO News LinkedIn handle. Very excited to invite my guest for today, Mr. Jayaprakash Dwivedi, who is the Chief Information Officer at Rajiv Gandhi Cancer Institute and Research Center. Mr. Dwivedi is a senior leader in the IT service industry with more than 30 years of experience working in India, UK, USA, and Singapore. He has delivered 8 large-scale software application development projects of an average size of 7,000 persons days each on varied technology platforms. He has vast industry segment experience, which includes healthcare, finance and investment banking, HR, hospitality, car rental, energy, retail, telecom, manufacturing, and railways. So it's a big welcome to you, Mr. Dwivedi.
Thank you.
I also have along with me Mr. Sukhvinder Singh, who is the Enterprise Account Director at GoTo. Mr. Singh has an experience in the B2B industry for SaaS sales, business development, marketing, and demand generation. He's an experienced sales and marketing professional with strong experience in solution selling, SaaS selling, business development, and channel management. He has been exposed to working with and leading the cross regional teams and has experience in driving team and partner engagement. We welcome you, Mr. Sukhvinder Singh.
Thank you, Afreen. Good to be here today.
Great. So, now let's just begin with our discussion for today. So, first I'd like to check with you, Mr. Dwivedi, and this is a question for you first. That what does your typical role look like working in the post-COVID era?
Starting with me.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, Afreen, really a lot has changed. We have become enablers, drivers from the cost center that we were termed before COVID. So, I typically say COVID is the senior most CIO that has brought in real transformation in this whole arena. People have started accepting technology, and in fact, they have started challenging and demanding, which is really a good news for me, because rather than pushing for technology adoption, now I am receiving a pull. So there are so many accelerators now in the organization, and my job became so much easier.
Very true, very true. So, Sukhvinder, how does your role look like now? If we have to talk about pre-COVID and now in the post-COVID era.
Okay. So, offering for us, if you look at it, there are two sides to it, right? One working within organization, and I being from sales side, we go and interact with the customer outside. So, if you look at it, the first part while working within your organization, so it hasn't changed much for us. The reason for it is like we as a company, when we were starting in 2003, 20 years back, so we started as a remote work and hybrid work company since our inception. So it has been in our DNA for last 20 years. So the very first product on which we built our product company was on the remote support. So over last 20 years, we acquired some companies, we built some products, and now we have a portfolio across remote support as well as for collaboration. So the things which have really changed for us is how we interact and engage with our customers now. Like Mr. JP was mentioning, the way the technology is getting a pull for him rather than a push inside an organization. We see it across all the customers, not just in India but globally. That so if I just share one fact with you, over a COVID we saw like more than 1,000% increase in the usage of our product. That was phenomenal for us. We haven't seen it like this in last 17, 18 years before that. Second, what we have really seen is while we interact with customers now, so everyone is looking for looking for a consolidation. So what has happened is with COVID, with otherwise proliferation of so much of SaaS application, so there's so many things to manage, so many things within your company. So what companies are looking at right now is how they can do more with less, so that they don't have to manage different vendors, different admins, different portals. So in a single platform, they can collaborate or they can consolidate everything together. So that is one interesting thing which we have seen now while interacting with the customers. And second, definitely what Mr. JP also mentioned. So this COVID really gave a acted like a catalyst for adoption of the technology in the company, and more forces healthcare company. Like, so for them, this pandemic was like something which has impacted the most, both in terms of their business, also in terms of their personal and other relationships also. So we have seen a lot of adoption happening in the companies post COVID, and we are happy to be part of that journey with all the organizations, specifically in the healthcare industry.
I think some very, very insightful points out there, Sukhvinder, because you spoke about collaboration. Also spoke about, how the adoption has increased in during COVID and the post-COVID, in the post-COVID era is because of the demand and, the increase in the demand for collaboration and, working with people virtually also. So, given today's demands, how has it become more imperative to scale up and arm the IT teams with the right tools? And what have been the demands of your IT ecosystem on this front?
Great question. See, multifarious demands. Number one, make the electronic health record nearly paperless. So initially we were trying to push for the EHR, EMR, but now we are being asked to perfect our system to meet the demands of a paperless work culture. Then number two, very clear imperative thereafter is that now we need to worry about privacy and security. So strengthen the cyber security posture to a credible extent so that it is very easy to steal or take or rob an electronic piece of information than a paper piece, because that is easy to contain and maintain, right? So and then thereafter, when doctors are taking pain entering that data, now they want analytics, they want BI, they want it on their tips, the the dashboards that they can easily use to publish their papers. So putting all of them together brings really the stature of IT several notches up. And of course, we are excited, we feel challenged. Uh, the, the culture has changed, the paradigm has changed, the ecosystem is fast changing. So these are really exciting times and a lot happening in healthcare IT space. I believe maximum is happening in this space than any other space wherever IT is concerned.
Very rightly mentioned that I think you spoke about cybersecurity, specifically security, because yes, there's so much sensitive data which is actually going into the systems now, especially data related to health. And it is imperative for the healthcare industry to ensure that all of this data is protected. And yes, as you rightly said, that this is the era which has actually given boost to technology, particularly in the healthcare industry, because as we've never seen before. So, just in line with that, Mr. Dwivedi, I also have a question for you again. That that with the technology development, with the technology adoption, there is an increased pressure in the healthcare industry to ensure that sensitive personal and health information is protected, and access to that data is restricted to only and only authorized personnel. So, are you confident that your current remote support software, if there is any, keeps your data secure, and also if these technologies are compliant as per HIPAA, GSPR, PII, or PHI?
So being prepared is one thing and being confident is another. If somebody says that he or she is 100% secure, protected, I can bet you either that person is aloof or that person is telling lies. We need to be in constant lookout because this is a constant battle between angels and demons, and it is going on and on till a time comes when Lord Vishnu takes reincarnation to kill that devil. But here these are too many, and these are outside your boundary of organization, inside your boundary of organization, even inside your department. They are visible, invisible, hidden in all sort of forms. So we need to be constantly alert. And obviously, I mean, I'm not fear mongering. What I'm saying that number one, basic hygiene factors need to be in place. We need to be very sensitive about the enormity of the side effects and ramifications whenever such breaches happen. So preparation right from the policy making to the identity and access management to all tools and technologies being in place, personnel being trained, processes being in place, and continuously checking and reassuring that all these security apparatus that we have put in place is good for the time that we are in, because it's changing very fast.
True, very true. And I like the analogy there that it's a constant battle between the angels and the devils. And yes, being prepared is one thing and being confident is another. As yes, this there's a statement that goes around that security is a myth. We know for a fact that it's never 100% secure, but yes, it's about more about preparedness. So that brings me back to you, Sukhvinder. When we talk about security, we know that security is one of the top priorities across organizations. So what are the standards by which an IT support tool particularly should adhere to?
Right, Afrin. So some very practical insights from JP again here. So if I speak about it, see, definitely security is an important criteria for every industry. But when you are operating in such a sensitive and regulated industry like healthcare, it just becomes non-negotiable, right? So speaking from a remote support side of the thing, so you need to make sure that your support operation doesn't jeopardize your compliance with the HIPAA, GDPR, PII, or PHI. More so because in the support case you're giving an access to your devices to third person. It could be your employee also, it could be someone from outside giving a support, or it could be your vendors. So you need to have a tool in place which is completely a permission based tool, right? So there should be entire control in the hand of an end user. So at any point of a time, if he or she feels that there is some suspicious activity going on, they should have a control to terminate the session. When initiating a session, they should know whatever is going to be accessed from their devices. They should allow or disallow it. And at the same time, the admins needs to have a complete control and visibility on what their technicians are going to do with this tool, right? You need to have a tool in place which allows you to give complete privileges or permission to your technicians to do their task, but nothing more. So if you just take some of the examples, right? When you take a remote of any of your devices, it could be like a laptop, desktops of your doctors, your support staff, someone managing financials, or someone handling a sensitive data. So you have to make ensure that whoever technician is accessing it, does it all the privileges? Like, can he only take a remote view or can he do a remote control? Should have an option to switch it off and switch it on. Same being the data transfer, right? You don't want them to transfer any data to the end customer or copy from there. Or maybe just one way, you just want them to send a file, but they can't copy it from there. So can you control those things when a remote session is happening? Screen recording, right? Though it is very important for audit and compliance purposes, but some of the times you don't want these sessions to be recorded because there's some data which is being handled and managed at the same time. But then for compliance, does it gives you an audit trail if screen recording is not happening? So whatever technicians are doing, does it giving you an audit trail for that? Same with having an unattended access or giving a reboot capabilities. So if you just summarize everything together, so what a remote support tool specifically from the point of security needs to do is, first it should give a control at the hand of end users. It's a permission based tool, and at the same time it is giving a complete control and visibility to your admins that whatever your technicians can do and cannot do. So that really makes it compliant to your requirement, your security, and your regulatory needs.
Yes, and if I have to put it in a nutshell, it is more about providing restricted access or customized access basis, maybe the function, the designation, or the requirement of the situation, or whatever task is being run. So yes, and Mr. Jayaprakash, on that note, I would want to check with you on, like most of the time an organization's productivity suffers because of lack of technical assistance while operating from a distant location. Now we know that we all have been working during COVID mostly from home only, and we've always required support. So how have you been managing that, and how technology has been a helping hand in managing such remote work scenarios?
See, Afreen, there are two aspects to it. One is that part of core functionality. So, fortunately, we are immune to this remote working in this context. In hospital, this is limited because doctors have to be there in place. Technicians have to operate the machines. So the basic, frontline staff is always there. They are available. Now coming to the expert level support. So of course, expert level support is leveraged, and we cannot demand that they be stationed here. And if we do, then they will run away because we will not be able to give them full-time job to stay engaged 5 days, 6 days a week, and 8 hours a day. So yes, of course, certain expert level leveraging is required. And there, as Sukhvinder was telling, very clear role-based access, collaborative tools, mechanism, schedules. The biggest challenge is that ensuring the availability of hospital stakeholders when those experts are on the line. So it is a bit of runaround. And no matter what tools and technologies we do, personal repo comes to the rescue. That we tell and request and get in touch with people more than once and twice. Make sure that the expert's time is not wasted. And then we use tools like GoTo, tools like Zoom or Google Meet or whatever. Uh, and then we ensure that the problems that are supposed to be solved in a time bound manner, service level agreements that are defined, are measured and adhered to.
Great. So yes, yeah, it is understandable that in a setup like yours, it is less to do with remote working because yes, the frontline team has to be there on ground in the hospital, and it's more about that rapport basis working or the rapport basis functionality. Very true. With that, I come to you, Sukhvinder. Like, although there's less of remote working, but then, yes, when we consider remote support tools or remote support solutions, what should be the top priorities when considering such solutions?
Okay, so Afreen, definitely the foremost would be security, for the obvious reason we discussed just in the previous questions, right? Role-based access, managing sensitive data, and everything. And second important criteria which comes into a place is, does it suits your requirement? Does Are you able to customize it to your environment and your needs? So remote support tool should be able to work as per your requirement. So what does it mean? So it means like specifically talking about in healthcare industry. So there could be a use cases. You need to support a workstation for your nurses, for your doctors. Maybe while they are on a system or while they are on the rounds and they've asked you to perform something. So can they give you a time-based access to their machines so that you only have an access for half an hour to do your task and then you get out of it. So those customization should be there. Then you have devices which are directly working or used by your staff, or second it are tagged to some of the other operating diagnostic devices, right? So does your remote support tool have a capability to support such devices also? Another thing comes is like EMR, which Mr. JP was talking about. So remote support tool should be able to get into it, should have a capability to provide training and support to a rotational staff while working on such softwares or such platforms. And then it could be across different platforms, right? Doctors on the go now, every hospitals are getting smart hospitals. They don't no more carry with the files. They have an iPads with them. They have tablets with them. So does your remote support tool have a capability to support such mobile devices also? So if you just summarize all those things, so what would be definitely first criteria would be security. Second is, does it work and support as per your environment, your requirement across different platform and operating system? And third, does it meet your, regulatory and compliance requirement?
Well said there. That yes, it is also about how technology is integrated with the everyday functioning, which includes the usage of different devices, be it a mobile phone, the e-app running on it, or maybe the the patient information in this case, if I have to say, or also the reports, etc. There's a lot of information which is shared across devices, even while people are there in the hospital. So yes, some very good points there, Sukhvinder. Thank you so much. With that, we come to the end of our session, and I would like to ask you, Mr. Dwivedi, any last thoughts or best practices that you would like to share for our viewers?
So first of all, thank you for calling me here. And what I would like to share is that uh, take care of the cyber security as the utmost priority because everything else is behind. Compliance and security are the paramount factors today, and we need to be very careful about the privacy, the security, and enablement, and then go for the business analytics part. Make best use of whatever is entered. If we are going to push doctors to enter data, better start giving them value of whatever they are making painful efforts for. And once we start generating value, trust me, the adoption will accelerate and the CIOs will be loved in their posts.
Great, great. Thank you so much. And Sukhvinder, anything would you'd like to add for our viewers?
So again, Afrin, thank you so much for the opportunity. And I think in all the questions, all the point, I think the pivot point was security. So everything was discussed around it. And so I just leave with one very interesting case study which we have for a customer. It's a leading healthcare in a medical diagnostic company called Hologic. So they have this diagnostic machines operating in different diagnostic centers and hospitals, and they get a huge inflow of support request tickets coming to them. And out of that, 50% are the use cases where these non-technical people or the medical people are operating a machine and they have some certain very trivial technology related issues. So it becomes very difficult for them to do a troubleshooting on a phone, and they either used to spend like 1 or 2 or to resolve just to understand it, or end up sending some person to physically visit and understand what the problem is. So what they did, they implemented a visual assistance tool called Rescue Lens. With this, what they're able to do is they can actually see what the end user is trying to explain them the problem they're facing. So they were able to solve at least 50% of such issues without even actually going to their places directly on the first call. So their FCR increased, their average handling time increased, and to put it in a more quantitative manner, they were able to save at least $50,000 in a year just from the travel cost. So this is how a technology can play a role, irrespective of which industries you operate in. Their users could be your medical people, could be teachers, could be non-tech users, but the technology is there to help people from across those structures if you know how to use it and make a best out of it. Yeah, thanks.
Well said there that, yes, irrespective of the industry, yes, technology can contribute in some way or the other and help in the overall productivity, output, quality, development. Yes, very rightly said, Sukhinder. Thank you so much. Thanks to both of you. It was a really, really good discussion and a really insightful one. Thank you so much once again from CIOs. And
Thank you.
Thank you.